Welcome to our Wednesday live-streamed reflection. You may be watching this on our YouTube channel, or you may watch later, but I hope that it will be a time to pause and wonder and reflect in our troubled times. My name is Lorna, and I am an assistant priest here at Mancroft and part of a ministry team. All the members of the ministry team take part in leading these Wednesday reflections, and I am very glad to be with you this morning. We do have builders in the building at the moment, so you may hear one or two other noises as I speak. My focus today is on a book I have just finished reading. The book is Let Us Dream, The Path to a Better Future, written by Pope Francis during lockdown, the first lockdown. I have enjoyed reading it immensely because this Pope has a remarkable ability to speak with potent integrity and truth, and allows his own vulnerability and his own faith and truths to be visible to all readers, whether they are members of the Catholic Church, of other church traditions, or other faiths, or no faith. There is much in this book, specific views and opinions that I don't wholly feel in tune with. After all, I stand before you as a woman and as a priest, and those two things are incompatible as far as Pope Francis is concerned. But it is not the differences I want to focus on today. Instead, I want to listen to the wise advice of Pope Francis and put differences aside and let myself, as I speak to you, dwell on the importance of searching for common ground. That is the alchemy that allows us to dream of a better future. An alchemy of common ground, what does that mean, and why does this book push me in that direction? Pope Francis in this book is telling us that we have a chance, after the horror and upheaval of the COVID-19 pandemic, to change the world for the better. He gives many examples of where our global humanity is on the wrong track and how we can aspire to a better future for all people. This is the moment to dream big, he writes, to rethink our priorities, what we value, what we want, what we seek, and commit to act in our daily life on what we have dreamed of. Pope Francis highlights the divisions in our society that are deep-seated and remain from our past and separate us into difference and disagreement in society, in politics, and in religion. He reminds us of the parts of our past that are abhorrent to us today. And the example he uses is the hundreds of years of the transatlantic slave trade from the 17th to the 19th century, which is a matter for shame. He counsels us, however, to look on the past with empathy and some understanding of the ignorant and uneducated culture that existed at that time. We should own our past. Even in this church, there may be artifacts that were paid for with the profits from slavery. We cannot deny it. But we can move to a better place together with deep sorrow, but without recrimination. Working together toward a better future is possible if the past is acknowledged whilst not being allowed to be a barrier to our working together now against modern-day slavery and against racism. And this is not a new dream. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream," when he called for an end to racism in 1963. Another area that this book looks at, Letterstream, brings to the fore and encourages us to understand and take on board the world's divisive economic strategies. Pope Francis cites the global desire for continual economic growth and an unlimited expansion of consumerism as most damaging to our environment and to society, allowing the gap between rich and poor to grow ever wider. The pandemic, especially in the early lockdown, made us stop, change our routines and our priorities, and now is the time to step back and ask what it is that we value. Is growth, more money, and more possessions what we want to value? Or should we instead be valuing our society, our humanity, each other? There may be different beliefs, different views, different understandings of how we should live, but in reading this book, I saw the simple truth that we're all part of one tribe. It is a tribe with many colours, many flags, a wealth of differences that are so complex and hard to sort out that it's almost fractal if you step back and look at this tribe. But the tribe has just one home and one name, and its name is humanity. We are humanity, and if we are to survive, and if our home, this earth, is to survive, then we must acknowledge that we are members of one tribe and put difference aside and look out for each other and for everyone. For Christians, the Bible gives us wise guidance. Jesus said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." And to be a maker of peace, you cannot just take the easy road, peace at any price. You have to work hard to make peace and work for it with people you might not feel peaceable with. Pope Francis continues in his book to speak about discussing issues. He uses the Catholic synods as an example, but issues can be discussed wherever a solution is needed. What he points out is that sometimes we are so tied up with our differences on one particular issue that we completely miss the common ground we share and the way forward for building a new understanding. We miss learning to deal patiently with one another and take steps that we can agree on in order to move toward a solution. In this COVID pandemic, we have an amazing example of this in our National Health Service. There are people working in the health service of different faiths, different cultures, different colours, different traditions and political views. Yet they are all working together as one to save lives. Finally, in this book, Pope Francis points to a way forward for each of us to act. And we can act to begin to right this great divisive wrong in our world. But perhaps not in the way one might think. Again, it is small steps and limited horizons that are the beginning of any change. The saying, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step," comes to mind. It's time to recognize right here in the circle of our lives, where we live, where we work, where we talk to one another, that looking for common ground and moving toward it together is that first step on the journey to saving each other and our world. Let us dream that there is a future where all humanity recognizes that every individual is of value and has value, and that all of us can learn to work together for good. Perhaps the last word should come from the youth poet laureate, Amanda Gorman's poem from the inauguration of President Biden. Just a section. The hill we climb. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so that we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Let us, in a moment of quiet, pray for peace and accord in our society and in our future. Amen.